Hey everyone, Chelsea here from A Frugal Homestead. Today we are going to do something a little bit different with our freeze dryer. We are going to make fresh juice from pears, apples, and carrots. And we're going to add that to our freeze dryer to put on our shelf. So we got a giant box of pears and apples from our community. And we still have quite a few carrots from our garden from last summer. And so we've been juicing a lot of these and just drinking them, and they've been delicious. But the problem is we can't get through that much juice. It's a lot of juice, a lot of sugar because it's fruit. We have freeze-dried apples, we have freeze-dried pears. We've just eaten them raw, all of which are super delicious, but now we're gonna make some juice with it. So we have our little juicer here, and I'll put information about it. It's not a high speed juicer. It's pretty slow, which is all right. It extracts quite a bit of the juice, leaves quite a bit of the pulp, but our chickens love the pulp. It's like Christmas to them. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just slicing some pears and apples so that they'll fit in the juicer. If you have a juicer and it allows you to put in whole pears and apples, awesome. Mine, not so cool. The other thing I'm looking for is some of this fruit. You might be able to see it here on this apple. Some of it has some yucky pieces, and that's okay. But we don't really want that in our juice. And then I have, like I said, I've got some carrots here. So I'm just peeling a few carrots here in our little chicken bucket. So we're gonna start with that. So I'm gonna turn my machine on. I'm gonna put it on hard because it asks for hard or soft fruit. It's starting. I'm just gonna add my pears here and let it start doing its thing. It will put the juice in this container and all the pulp in the opposite container. Add a carrot, add some apples, and just start that process going. Now this will take a few minutes to get this juice, but I'm just gonna keep adding to the juicer, and once we have all that juice made, we'll come back. I'll show you kind of what it looks like. Now the next step in this process for me is taking the pulp out, or not all of it, but trying to remove some of the pulp from the juice. So I have a pitcher here, you can see that, with a little strainer on top, and I've added the juice in, and then I'm just letting it kind of strain itself through that strainer as I continue to juice over here. And I can use a spatula to kind of scrape the sides to get rid of some of that pulp. Now if you like the pulp, awesome, keep it in there, freeze dry it, it's not gonna hurt anything. But my kids typically do better with fresh juice when they don't have a lot of pulp. So I actually am straining it while I'm juicing, and that kind of will speed up the process a little. All right, our juice is here. This is our apple, pear, carrot juice. And I have my freeze-dried tray in my freezer. And I'm literally just gonna pour the juice right into the tray. That way, it's less likely to spill and make a giant mess. I'm gonna fill it about halfway. Just a little bit more. And you can kind of see on this side here, it's not quite up there. And that's just the way the freezer is set. So hopefully that will help it be a little bit more even. So we're gonna just let this freeze for several hours and then we'll pop it into the freezer. Here is our frozen juice. See, it's nice and frozen. We're gonna pop it into the freeze dryer. Now, another method of freezing your juice for your freeze dryer. I have some apple juice here and some lime juice that, as you can see, I froze them in blocks using plastic Ziploc bags. This is another great method of kind of getting your food pre-frozen before putting it in the freeze dryer to cut down on some of the freezing time using plastic bags. So I just poured the juice into the bags and then placed them right onto the freeze drying tray. So it doesn't take as much work, and that works really nicely if you don't have extra freeze drying trays that you can spare to pre-freeze your juice. There's our juice, nice and frozen. I'm gonna put it on one of my middle trays. I got some strawberries going with it. And we're gonna go ahead and start it. So we finished up freeze drying. This is our homemade apple cider. It actually kind of looks like pasta sauce, which is a little crazy. It's very bubbly, but it snaps. And these are like sugar bubbles. That's what those are. And then this is some of the lime juice. This is what we put in the blender. And then this is a square of lime juice that was really bubbly. It was about an inch thick. And now it's down to a quarter of an inch, maybe not even quite that. We're back with our juice here. I just pulled it out of the freeze dryer and checked it. It froze, or it dried for quite a long time because I wanted it to be looser like this, so you can kind of get these chunks. You can kind of see all the air bubbles and the sugar bubbles on there. Juice does take a little bit longer because there's a lot of liquid in it, but it also has a lot of sugar, and I've found that that does make a difference on how well it, how long it takes in the freeze dryer. So we're just going to loosen this kind of up with our spatula here, and then we're going to turn it into powder. And see, it should pop up pretty well off the tray. If it doesn't, you probably want to put it in for a little bit longer. If it is still super sticky, it's still going to be sticky. There is still some stick to it. But if it's super duper sticky, then it's probably not done. You want it to get as dry as you possibly can get it. All right, so there's my pile of apple, pear, carrot juice. So we're gonna put it in our mixer here. And we should be able to fit it all in there because we can kind of chop it up. Got most of it in there, so we'll start it and then we'll add the rest. Dusty. Juice is a really fun thing to freeze dry. Especially if you can make your own juices, and it's actually really tasty just this way. So you could add this powder on top of a cake to add a little bit of flavor. I actually went and grabbed a smaller container because I don't need that big one for this. And I'm just going to put it, so we're just going to pour it So another thing you can do is put some in a mason jar with a little lid on it. Then you have access to it every day so that you can make juice or add it to your smoothie or whatever. We're gonna zip this guy up and press it so it's nice and cold, or nice and hot and sealed. And then this one you can put a lid on and add to whatever juice. So that is how you freeze dry juice. And then to reconstitute it, that kind of depends on how much flavor you want. This is very flavorful. It has lots of sugars because of the fruit in it. And so you wouldn't necessarily need a ton of water, but you did take a lot of water out. So you might have to experiment with it. I would go with a 1-to-1 ratio to start, 1 tablespoon to 1 tablespoon, or half a cup to half a cup. Try that out, see how you like it. You can always add sweetener. You can add honey, sugar, whatever type of sweetener to it when you reconstitute it if you don't want to use all of the powder. And another thing you can do is you can weigh it. Before, I knew this made about 2 quarts of juice or 1.5 quarts of juice, and so I could reconstitute that way, and I could write it on here, 1 quart of juice, or a cup of juice or whatever. So that might help you as well. So there's a couple of ways that you can help to figure out how to reconstitute it. Usually I just kind of eyeball it and try it that way. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. And if you want to check out freeze dryers for yourself, there's a link down in the description as well. So you can head over to Harvest Right and see, what you like, and get your questions answered there as well. That is it for this video. We will see you on our next one.